Welcome to the Viking Spotlight. This is a podcast about people, events, and projects in the North Canton City School District. I'm your host, Jeff Wendorf. Today we're talking with Mr. John Kirkpatrick and Jeff Adams, both of Hammond Construction. Welcome to join us today, man.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah. Awesome.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. This will be fun. Yeah, we'll get to know about Hammond, about our project, and some other things going on. John, we'll start with you. You're one of the partners of Hammond Construction, but more importantly, a Hoover grad.
Yeah, 1998.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that's just after this building opened, or during the time of construction, right?
Yeah, so halfway through my junior year is when we actually moved into this building. So yeah, I was here a year and a half and graduated from it. Building that we had been, involved in building, which is awesome.
Hammond Construction built it, basically.
Yeah, right,
good.
Exactly.
Good. So how's it feel to work on, one of the two new schools in your hometown? You live in the district, and give us a short history of Hammond Construction and how it started.
Sure. So first, it's awesome to be here, to be able to be involved in the construction process, to basically do what I've done for years and do it for my community in my school district. That's just an amazing thing. Truly is. So then to talk a little bit about Hammond. Hammond was founded in 1973. So we'll be 50 years old next April 6th. And I'm second generation ownership. My partner and I, Bill Sherman, we've been fortunate to be at the helm for about 10 years now. And Hammond started out as an interiors contractor. Metal studs, drywall, acoustic ceilings, flooring, all of the stuff on the inside of a building. And then over time, we actually got into building health clubs in the 80s, right? It was that time running around with a mullet and a health club.
There you go.
And at that time, we transitioned into general contracting. And then the school started in the early 90s, I tell you. And it's been schools ever since.
Yeah. So primarily general interior construction, and then general contracting, and then since the early mid-90s or the establishment of the Ohio School Facilities Commission, primarily schools?
Primarily schools. Yeah. Yep. Lots of schools.
Right. I know of a few others in the area you guys have been involved in and stuff. Well, how many folks work at Hammond right now?
We have probably, I'd tell you, about 125 people at Hammond.
125. Your offices are located in Canton.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
Yep. Main office in Canton, and then we have another office in Akron.
Yep.
So right around here.
Awesome. Good stuff. We'll come back to you in a minute. Jeff Adams, you're the Vice-President of Hammond Construction. Can you share a little bit about your background working with Hammond and Jeff in general?
Yeah. Sure. I started with Hammond Construction in 2004. So I was born and raised in Stark County as well. Graduated from Bowling Green State University. And when I got when my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, said, we're going to move back to Stark County, started looking for jobs, worked for a small general contractor in North Canton, actually, and then signed on with John's dad in 2004, and the rest is history. Wow. So, and same kind of thing. I don't know that I really expected to mount my career on building schools, but I have been building schools since the day that I started there. So it's been an exceptional experience.
Right. So you're involved in our project. You're our I don't know your exact title, but you're the guy in charge of both buildings. You kind of oversee the coordinators for both buildings. Is that what you primarily do for the company?
Yeah, so I run teams. I'm a vice president, but on a project, I'm considered the project executive, and just kind of support network for our project managers, project engineers, and superintendents. And my experience over the last 20 years just allows me to see the big picture and provide them guidance and really experiences of what I've had. So
I would assume you've come up through all the roles of a contractor, from being the site contractor, site coordinator, and looking over. Yeah.
Yes, I've filled all the positions and then some, from sweeping the floor to being a superintendent to a project engineer, project manager. Yeah. Just fortunate to have filled all those roles too.
So in general, I know you guys have built new buildings. You've renovated a lot. The Ohio schools, and I didn't put any questions on our little plan here, but the Ohio School Facilities Commission, who is now the OFCC, the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, basically helped pay for upgrading school districts or school buildings in Ohio. I think it was, and I could be wrong on some of this, but I think it was originally set up by the tobacco settlement money, some crazy number of things. And in the mid 90s, they started building buildings with that settlement money based on school districts' wealth, basically. So they gave the districts that had not a lot of area wealth or community wealth and helped pay for most of those buildings. And now we're at a point down the list of 600 districts in Ohio where we're midway to 2/3 through, where we're a 37% OFCC support and, of course, a 63% local. Did I say that right? 37, 63, yeah. And so it's a great thing. Built a lot of buildings, Canton City, and gosh, lots and lots of buildings in our area. Some have built without OFCC funding, just local. But everything from renovations to new builds. Is there a percentage that you've done from Hammond that?
Oh, I would tell you most is new build. I would tell you, but yeah, lots. I mean, we've done, complete new build. We've done just renovation, total renovation of a building, to lots of additions and renovation. I mean, all kinds. I mean, we joke that, saying this as humbly as possible, but if you can imagine it, we've probably done it with schools.
Yeah. And a lot, so school districts, but you've also done a lot of university.
Oh, yeah.
I know you do quite a bit of work at Mount Union.
Yep. University of Mount Union, Akron University, Kent State. Yeah, I mean, lots of different stuff there. Yep.
What's the most unique building you've done?
The most unique for me is 2012, we did a project for the Akron Zoo, and it was the Grizzly Ridge project, and it was a awesome job. It was totally different. I mean, it's bear exhibit, just a totally different type of thing.
That's not your typical school setting.
That is not at all. That was something that we tried, and we'll just leave it at that. It's kind of a one and done.
We're not going to
stick with what you know.
We're not going to go in the zoo business, right?
That's right. Yep, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, well, we all know what our strengths and weaknesses are, right?
Yeah.
Not that it was a weakness, but just something you weren't. Yeah.
It's a weakness,
and those are learned, right? Yeah, that was a learned experience for sure.
Not a lot of quantity of those kind of jobs around, anyways.
That's exactly right.
Good. Well, so we mentioned earlier in the show that this building was built in 95, and tell us what that work consisted of. You were a student then, but there was a building here previously, right?
Yeah, so the way I can remember it is that at that time, the high school was what now is the middle school, and this was more of like a career tech building. And we came over and basically built a large addition and some renovation inside that was the student dining and the gym. I'm going to kind of draw a line between those two areas then to the west. And it was the academic spaces, certainly the area, the area where now was renovated, and the media center and all of that portion.
So Hoover Hall was new.
Yeah,
was it there? So. Yeah, it was new. Yep. And then all the 2-story classrooms, gymnasium and all that. Yeah. Great facility. Good. Well, how many projects you have going currently?
Well, right now, just in getting prepared for this morning, I did a count, and we're at a dozen right now. And that's school projects from wrapping up and turned over all the way through getting ready to start here maybe the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, right. Good. What are some schools that you've done in the last 2 or 3 years that folks might recognize in our area?
Highland Local in Medina County, Lake, certainly. A couple of years ago, we finished those up. Akron, we're currently working at Akron on the Kenmore School. What else? Anything? What can you think
Kenmore Garfield and Akron Outlet, both of those. Hudson City Schools.
Yeah.
We just wrapped up a series of buildings for them.
Streetsboro
Fire Station. Yeah.
And schools before.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, over northeastern Ohio. I mean, it's like Brunswick, it's Strongsville, it's North Royalton.
Primarily northeast Ohio.
Yeah, Wickliffe. Yeah, right. Yeah, predominantly northeast
Columbus
Ohio.
Much. Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Well, here's the interview question. What's your philosophy of school buildings? What's your approach when you talk about building schools?
So I would tell you, and I'll go first if I can.
Sure.
I would tell you.
Yeah, he works for you.
That's right. I would tell you a really neat component with schools is just the community component. When you work for a private client, you're working for one person. With a school, there's a whole different level of communication and accountability, and you have to be prepared for that. And I think it's, that whole idea of being transparent and open about it. I think that we're a great fit there. And then we have people that also excel at that.
Right.
So, I think that's, something cool about it.
I would tell you, if I had to put in words what our philosophy is, I would tell you it's always doing the right thing. I think that school districts, it's a small community and everyone knows each other. And so no matter the cost, you have to do the right thing. And sometimes that costs us money, and that's okay. You're only as good as the last thing you do. Right. So, I don't know. I feel like that's company philosophy too. Just do the right thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Cool. Good. And I suppose no construction project ever goes exactly the way it was designed or exactly the way the timetable is. And what are some of the most challenging things you face when building a building, or big buildings? Ours are 200,000 square foot plus buildings. What are some of the common things you run into?
The common things you run into, there's always money wrapped up in the ground, and people don't ever see it. But it's just like anything, you have to have the right foundation to build the right, have the right building in the end. As far as the challenges go, this pandemic has been a unique aspect of construction and timelines and people and processes and keeping people safe and healthy and still executing. So I think the pandemic has been unique.
Right. Yeah.
For everyone.
It's been a supply issue. It's been a people issue, and let alone the normal stuff in the ground that you don't know you're digging up and trying to build a building on. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Well, it's worked out for us. I know we had the longest campaign in the world because it was supposed to be early March, I think, on our levy bond issue, and then the pandemic extended it to May. So we had a pretty long past, and then so about a year to plan, 2 to build approximately, and we're on track. There's some scuttle out there that we're not on track, but we are. Our steel's on site. You see steel going up, and that's been one thing that I appreciate as a school district for you guys is being honest about the timelines and about some of the challenges and some of the decisions you have to make to stay on schedule and to do the right thing, but your honesty about here's the potential hiccups, but here's how we're going to address them, and how we're going to work through them. And right now we're steel's up. They're pouring second floor roof decking and some other things, and they're coming along. So the plan in general right now is to be under roof and buttoned up by snowfall by early December.
That's right. That's always the goal. We call it enclosure. So you get the building, dry so that you can work through those inclement weather months, and that's really our target right now. Obviously we have some challenges, but we have challenges on every job, and we are on schedule. And like you said, things are good. You drive by now and it looks great. So yeah, working towards enclosure this winter.
Yeah. So is that true? About a year to plan, and I know that's the architect's stuff, but in dealing with input and so on, and then approximately 2 years to build.
Yeah. That's pretty common. I think anymore it's a little more challenging, just with the cost of goods and things like that, and having to work through those things in the design. Sometimes it makes the design a little bit longer, but yeah, about a year. And then, 100 to 150,000 square foot building takes 14 to 18 months, 14 to 16 months, somewhere in there. Okay. You get into a 250,000 square foot building, maybe they're 2 years. And then we're working on Cuyahoga Falls has a big job. It's 360,000 square feet, and it's almost 40 months. So it kind of depends.
All one building?
Yeah.
That big a building?
Yeah. Wow. Just kind of depends on what time of the year you start in and how big the building is. But, anything between 14 and 40 months, just kind of depends.
Yep. Good. And we did a little bit of work before, I guess we called it site work, right? Preparing the ground and all those kind of things so that when it does thaw, we did that actually a year ago. And so that in the spring you can get right on it without having to deal with thaw and mud and so on. So that worked out. Our timeline seems to have worked out well.
Yeah, that saves you, 3-4 months if you can get that whole shot work done, and then you're just building the building, and that's procuring the materials for the building is typically the most challenging part. So, yeah.
Good. Well, in my career, been involved in a few building projects, and one of the early ones was at Lake with the community center, and that was not a OFCC project, but Hammond Construction did it, and a different model then, and I'm not sure what it was called, but I know the owner, the school district, held the contract on all the subs and all that, and I'm not sure the name of that, but this is a little different. This is where the district hires Hammond Construction, and you get all the subs and all the work done, and so you hold the contracts. Is that, what's the name of that?
So the Lake model was construction management as an agent,
okay,
and then this is construction management at risk.
Okay.
So yeah, exactly. The predominant difference there is who holds the subcontracts.
Yep. As
an agent, the district would hold them, and it would be publicly bid. At risk, the construction manager holds them with pre-qualified subcontractors.
Right. So it's a lot easier. What we found is our school treasurer was chasing around masons and plumbers and so on. But you're the expert in it. So tell me what a construction manager does.
So construction manager, the real difference in just my opinion is we have the ability to be involved during the pre-construction, during that design. So we're able to work alongside the design team, providing schedules, logistics plan, making sure, we talk about safety. And so much of safety is, I think everybody jumps to immediately the workers, but it's being involved in the logistics, making sure the kids are safe. The Clearmount's a great example of where we're building right next to that school, making sure we have a plan in place to make sure everybody's safe.
Right.
So it's being involved while the design is going on, and providing estimates, making sure we're staying on track from a cost standpoint, pre-qualifying subcontractors, as I mentioned a minute ago. Just really, it's a function of putting a plan together so that when you do go out and get a guaranteed maximum price and bid the work, you're ready to go. You execute that plan.
Good. Awesome. Thanks. So we're in our project for our two buildings. We've got 200,000 square foot buildings, a PK2 at the Charlotte site, and at the Clearmount site is a 3-5 grades. Where are we at in that process, and what can we expect for the rest of the timeline?
Sure. We touched on it a little bit. We're just focused on erecting the building, right? You put the concrete in the ground and you erect the structure via masonry or steel in this case. And then we will work on the building envelope, such as, putting the roofing in and wrapping the building with structural studs and, working on the brick veneer and the windows. And that's really, again, towards that enclosure word that I was using so that we can heat the inside of the building. And then it's a little less obvious from the outside, but then we're inside, right? We're framing walls, and that'll transition, I would tell you, like in the January timeframe is when you won't see us, but we'll be in that building.
There's a lot going on in the beehive.
Yeah, and it's all the things that no one sees. It's the heating system, it's the electrical distribution, it's the technology. And we're preparing for all those finishes that will happen, late spring, early summer. You're shipping in drywall and cabinetry and ceilings and lights and a lot of the fixtures. And then we're starting with flooring and truly just finishes of the space. And that's the last component. It goes a little slower in the middle, and then at the end it goes really fast, and you see everything, all the colors and all the interior designing components. We're contractors, and we don't know exactly how it looks, but when you get it all done, their touch is obvious. So it gives you a sense of where we're at. We're in great shape. Things are going well.
Good deal. Well, tell me a little bit, and we haven't talked a lot about the design team, but we've used Sol Harris Day Architecture to work with our community and our staff to design this building and so on. You've worked with Sol Harris Day previously on several projects. How many have you worked with them? And then tell me about the other, I guess, architects that you work with in doing your school buildings and what that process looks like and how that goes, and maybe the pros and cons of different groups.
Sure. So we've done a lot of work with Sol Harris Day. And I would tell you, our experience with them has been great. I mean, they're another one that the key to success on a job, going back to just real quickly, that idea of the challenges is just everybody having the same goal. And that's absolutely how they operate. Let's get these jobs done. Let's do them right. And let's just make sure that we, do a great job. So we've done a lot. Lake was Soul Harris Day. Indian Creek project we did with Soul Harris Day. So a lot of experience there with them. And it isn't probably a lot of different designers that are involved in this market. There's a couple other ones. So we probably work with maybe 4 or 5 different design teams. Okay. And I'm sure they would say the same thing about us. We all have our different, idiosyncrasies and whatnot. But I really would tell you that Soul Harris Day, they truly are. They're a great partner. They really do work for the best interest of the district, the best interest of the project. And then when you can work together, again, being transparent, being honest, that's when you can get a job done that's done right. It's huge.
And they're Stark County folks too. So,
I was just going to ask that.
Us, right?
We talked a lot about that in our selection process of a construction manager, and some at the architect level, but mostly in our campaign and our bond issue, and talking about keeping things local and Hammond being a local company. Tell me how you do that. How do you you mentioned pre-qualify? How do you pre-qualify your subcontractors?
You want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take a piece on it, and you can piggyback there. Okay.
Deal.
We build schools all over northeastern Ohio, and we've found when you get a good partner, right, they're wanting to work with you, and we're wanting to work with them. So as we've gone around, we've picked up these folks, from the Youngstown, from the Cuyahoga, from the Summit County, some of those things. But obviously, our office here is in Stark County. So the very core of our people and the people that work for us are based in Stark County. The Hilshire Clarks of the world and the Standard Plumbing and Heating and some of those folks.
Yeah. So Abbott Electric and Beaver Construction, and I see a lot of locals.
Yeah. So
Belden Brick and some other things.
Yeah, I shouldn't have named people. I apologize for that.
I'm allowed. We're the owner, so you got to keep them all happy.
That's right.
Well, and nobody has more of a vested interest, and that's the truth. I mean, nobody cares more about the projects than the guys that are actually when it's local.
Yeah.
From a contractor standpoint, when they're local and their kids go there, that makes a ton of difference. I mean, honestly, all the difference in the world. And there's, you're proud. You're proud to be part of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, we've got a pretty cool little thing coming up here, I think, that Ryan has helped us with. One of the coordinators is a beam signing. So we're going to have kids and teachers sign a beam at each of our elementary schools to install in the building. And every student will have an opportunity at least elementary student, have an opportunity to write their name on it. And someday somebody may see that, but
sure.
I don't know, so we'll see when we tear down some of the older buildings, what we find behind the walls and so on, if there's something unique there. But a few years ago, we found a purse behind a locker at the middle school and made national news. But anyway, we talked about a few things here, and you guys have been doing it. What changes have you seen in the construction world, and maybe some that you predict are on the horizon?
Well, I would say just big change is just, and I think this is everywhere, but communication, technology, I mean, that's a major change. I mean, that's changed everything. I mean, Jeff and I were talking earlier today, and I can remember, using fax machine, and I feel like, I'm 43. I mean, it's, but I mean, it's come so far to doing, meetings virtually. I mean, having Zoom meetings. I mean, that was, you never even would have thought of that 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. I mean, and it's commonplace now. So, I mean, just huge differences in that regard.
Well, and along those lines, I was out at one of the job sites the other day, and I think it was an intern actually for Hammond was walking around. He had an iPad and was pulling up the drawings. Used to be you went over the table and flipped these giant pages over, right, to see things. And,
carry them around the job site.
Right, right, yeah.
Yeah, from when I started my career, we would use actual ammonia embossed blueprints. So you'd turn the page and your eyes would water from the ammonia. and now you transmit information. It's all electronic. Right. Really just the way we've communicated in construction changes. And then it changes the construction too. The whole technology infrastructure and, how instructional technology has changed how you're educating kids and how we have to get that infrastructure in place. You know, it's pretty, yeah. That's the biggest.
It's pretty neat to be able to see, and for I guess an owner in some ways as a superintendent, knowing, you know, call the district the owner, but being able to see the details of when we went through the budgeting exercise to try to, you know, make the budget work and so on, is to look at, okay, how many outlets do we have and the cost of each one. And it's just amazing the detail of a building that size, of how many feet of conduit you have and all those things. It's all laid out on your phone if you want to call it up and look at it. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, what do you see any changes in construction in the future coming at us that might be new, that maybe we're not doing here, but you might see coming?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, something that's cool that I've seen that I don't know that it will ever relate, but is 3D printing. You know, where you know, I've seen where they're 3D printing homes in place.
Right.
I mean, just
concrete 3D printing.
Oh yeah. I mean, just amazing things. And I'm sure there will be all kinds of things that'll come. I mean, just the changes. You know, I mean, I can remember when it was the way we built buildings was it was a double loaded corridor. It was a corridor, and you had a classroom on both sides, and that was
sounds like Orchard Hill. And
Clearmount, right. And it. I mean, it's changed, right? And it's changed, in my opinion, all for the better.
Right.
And technology and just all of that, just as you're saying, Jeff.
Yeah. And it comes from a vision of how you want to teach kids, and that influences the design, and then the design influences the construction, and the construction is influenced by different products that come on the market. Like, yeah.
And that was one of the key features of our buildings, is when we asked the design team to help us, is we want to make sure that every space has at least 2 or more uses. Not just a classroom and not just a hallway, but we want to be able to use a hallway as an extended learning area and have the classrooms be flexible. I think most of our classrooms, have a flexible wall where they can team teach with the class next door, or have a double doors to the extended learning area and what we call the hallway, the extended learning area. So lots of opportunities, and I think our buildings are going to be pretty neat to be able to see that and use that. So. Cool. Good. Well, we've had a good conversation. What do you want to say now that you thought I was going to ask that we didn't? What do you want to share? Anything on your mind?
No, not me.
Just very happy to be part of it. Glad I'm a Stark County resident. And like John said, you spend your whole career getting really good at something, and when you can come home and you can build for the people that you care about, you can just feel like you can do that much better of a job. So
great.
It's good.
Awesome. Good.
Excited to be here. Well,
we've got a phase 2 coming up here in sometime in the future, so we'll talk about that. But you know, our 2 new buildings are exciting. We're excited to get the keys August 4th, and just a reminder about the deadline. Everything's on track.
Yes,
we do have steel. The steel is here.
It's good.
And
it really is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're very, very excited, and I know our kids are excited to start in a new building, and it'll be it's a milestone in North Canton Schools history, that's for sure. So it'll be very cool, and that's awesome. A fun part that you guys get to do.
Yeah, for sure.
You do that in a lot of districts, but well, we appreciate the partnership that we've had with you guys, and you know, the continuing partnership to do things and build great facilities to educate kids at high levels and get great results for kids. So appreciate you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. We thank our listeners today for joining us, and this podcast is a great way for us to share information about the district with residents and families. If you have any questions or suggestions, always feel free to let us know by email at vikingspotlight@northcantonschools.org. We always welcome your thoughts regarding these podcast ideas and suggestions. So next week we'll be talking with a Hoover High School student, Aiden Kirkbride. Aiden's working on an Eagle Scout project that will benefit the local Maps Air Museum. We look forward to hearing about his plans, and getting to meet Aiden a little bit and then to get to know him better. So as always, we thank you for listening, and take any advice you would like to give us. Just let us know at that email address, and having a great start to the school year. So we'll talk to you next time, and go Vikings.